Evening, folks. Welcome back to the Leeds View. I don't know how you're all doing, but I'm knackered. This is hell of a fight back by Leeds. A lot to get stuck into. Not a great first half. And we're trying to be balanced and honest about things. It's not paper over cracks either. Wasn't a great first half by Leeds, but what an incredible fight back by Leeds United. We saw tactical flexibility again when it wasn't working. We saw two changes of formation tonight from Leeds United. Went from that 3-5-2 to the 4-4-2, 4-2-3-1 to a 3-4-3 at one point as well. So tactical flexibility was there tonight. A fight back against a side who it looked like we had switched off to a point where we were dead. The energy wasn't there in the first half. We started the second half again, as we've started so many second halves this season, just miles off it, find ourselves 2-0 down. But then the changes happened and we saw the fight back from the players. We saw Leeds starting to press high. We saw them starting to get stuck into tackles. We saw us moving the ball way quicker than we were in the first half. And we saw impact across the park from Leeds United. Tanaka's having one hell of a week for Leeds United. He gets another goal, his second Premier League goal in the space of 4 days, which just fair play to him. Anton Stach scores again for Leeds as well. And Dominic Calvert-Lewin with a penalty for Leeds. So in just top to bottom, that second half, this is very much, and I think I've said it this season, the other way around of game of two halves where Leeds start the first half incredibly well. And then the second half just switch off and don't turn out for the second half. This time around, it's the opposite way around. Leeds not great in the first half. When they needed to be 2-0 down, they do get one hell of a comeback. And that's going to be a famous night in Elland Road. We'll look back on that one in years to come. You've got Mark Viduka's hat-trick, Tony Yeboah's, Marcus 4 goals, Tony Yeboah's volley 30 years ago. I was 14 when that went in. It's hard to believe it was that long ago. I remember watching that night. Garrett Holohan, shout out to you for spoiling that night for me as well when he knocked on my front door and told me Yeboah scored a cracker. But yeah, we'll get into this. We'll talk about it in the full context of the game. I don't want to be a party pooper here and take the joy out of this because there's a lot. That's an incredible fight back, an incredible performance. I will get your comments as usual in the second half of this. So if you're watching it live and you want to have comments, no problem. I'll give you a shout in a few minutes' time. We'll do the comments then. If you're listening to the audio or if you're watching on demand, I will likely have clipped out the comment section for you so you've got a full, clean review of the match. If you're new to the channel as well, if you want to stick a subscribe on the channel and be here for daily Leeds news as well as our reviews, previews, breakdowns, all that kind of stuff. And again, also, if you want to like the video as well, that's always a huge help and support. As watching on demand, you can hype it as well. But let's get into this. Let's start talking about a couple of things to get into. We'll start off. My notes are all over the place today because that was just a mental second half. But we'll break it down. Ultimately, the top line of this is Leeds United picked up 4 points against Chelsea and Liverpool in the last two games. I think Daniel Farke is probably safe as a brick shithouse right now after that. And if there was any pressure on him, these two games now, he needs to carry this forward now into this. There is a question mark around why Leeds started the first half sitting off as much as they did, why the intensity wasn't there, why the aggression wasn't there. Because when it was there in the second half, and I've been saying this all year, we look like a much better side. But we got it. At least we got it. And we got a point in this. And it moves Leeds out of the relegation zone comfortably now. It gives us a nice little gap between us and West Ham, who do play tomorrow. But there's now 3 points between us and them. We are now 16th in the table. We've leapfrogged Nottingham Forest on goal difference. So ultimately, that ends up being a positive. And the goals are flying in. All of a sudden, the goals are flying in. 2 against Chelsea, 3 tonight, 2 against Manchester City again. That's amazing. We just haven't been scoring that volume of goals this season. But we'll talk about the full game. First half, we saw a stick to the system. The team that came out and lined up for the first half, question marks over that. Tanaka comes out. Ilya Gruev goes in. And that there's a couple of different ways of looking at that. There is the first way of looking at it is that's a more defensive midfield and we're going to sit in a little bit. The second way of looking at it is, well, he did mention that Tanaka was in a nice bat on his press conference the other day and maybe he was just a little bit tired, a bit stiff and they didn't have 90 minutes in him and they wanted to use him for an impact, which, my Jesus, did he have an impact? But either way, you did see a difference in that Leeds United midfield. Also, no Lucas Mecha, and I thought he was missed tonight. I thought that kind of energy that he brings up front, the running of the channels, the showing for the ball, because more often than not in the first half, Leeds players just weren't looking for the ball when we did get it. And we just gave it away too easily. When you look at that first half, it was far more passive. The passing was sloppy. There was no movement for players who did have the ball, 2 pass 2. There was no one looking for it. A lot of the long balls forward, instead of being direct, ended up being more hoof balls kind of into space, just getting rid of it. and we didn't look great, but we did manage. The positive to come out of that first half was we did keep Liverpool to no shots on target, and we limited them to what they actually did. They had loads of the football. They didn't do an awful lot with it. They hit the crossbar, and then there was one shot that clipped the outside of the post after a block from Joe Rodon. And then the second half happens. But that first half, there are definitely lessons to still be taken away from this. Leeds United cannot play sitting off of teams. We just don't have the players to do it. We are a far better side, as we proved again in the second half tonight, that when we get in their faces and we're close to them, and that was the big problem in the first half. Leeds just weren't, body for body wise, we weren't close enough to Liverpool's players. You go back and look at the Chelsea game for pretty much the entirety of that game. Second half against Man City, go back to Everton, go back to Newcastle. First half against West Ham, first half against Villa, first half against Spurs. Anytime a ball has been passed into somebody's feet, Leeds had a body there, and they were hitting them early. Tonight, that first half, when the ball did go into Liverpool players' feet, they had 5, 6, 7 yards to play in. We just weren't off. The energy wasn't there. I think I'd wrote in the first half down. Leeds midfield is walking around the pitch. Now, when Daniel Farke put a lightning rod up their arse or something at halftime, I don't know. But we didn't start that second half well either. It took Liverpool 4 minutes to score 2 goals, which wasn't great. But there is still to come back to talk about. We're getting to the good stuff. But you can't ignore the first half either. Leeds can't start games like that. They can't sit off. And they can't assume that we can just sit back and manage games, because we don't have the players to do it. And we started the second half, same team, same shape, same lineup. And within a minute and two, Ekitike has scored against it. It's an awful goal to concede. It's a mistake by Joe Rodon to pass to Ethan Ampadu. They just doesn't get right at all. And then Ampadu can't get there. Ekitike nicks in and puts the ball in the corner. And then you've got the second goal, which comes again from Leeds being pressed and just being sloppy in possession. This time it's a pass from Pascal Struijk behind Gabby Goodmunson. By the time he gets it and turns, he's lost it. Ball comes in from Bradley across. Perry gets out to try and save it, and Ekitike gets there before him and scores. Thought he was offside, but the reason it wasn't offside apparently is because the ball was ahead of the player. So therefore, he can't be offside. But that's when the change happens. Even before the change in formation happened, even before the personnel coming on the park happened, there was a change. All of a sudden, Leeds started to press. I'd written down at 55 minutes, Leeds midfield is passive, walking, strolling around the place. Front players are not looking for the ball. There's nobody running the channels. And then we get the changes. At 64 minutes, Tanaka, Nanto, and Brendan Aronson come on. Energy came off the bench because we looked leggy up until that point. Changed to a 4-2-3-1 at that point, and then it went to a 3-4-3, which was really good. And I'm okay with this. If Daniel Farke wants to be flexible with his systems, fine, no problem. As long as they're kind of, I'd say proactive, but you're 2-0 down at that point, so it's kind of reactive. But at least there was changes there twice. The third goal is an interesting one to get to that, but we'll get to that in a second. But first of all, there's the immediate impact of the substitutes. Willie Nanto gets fouled, and then it's a strange tackle. I don't know what Konate is thinking. Willie Nanto's running out of play with the ball, and Konate decides to take him out of it, and Leeds get a penalty. Gary Neville didn't think it'd be a penalty. Imagine that. Gary Neville not thinking it was a penalty. And anyway, Leeds get the penalty. DCL steps up, boom, puts it in the corner. Goal for Leeds. Well taken. Up right hand side. I mean, Allison goes the right direction for it, but he can't do anything about it. It's a good goal. 5 minutes later, Leeds get the equaliser. It's a really good goal there. It's a 1-2 between Aronson to Nanto, back to Aronson. Gives it to Stack, cuts it on his right foot, and then shoots it back towards his left. Reverse shot. Ball goes in the corner. Excellent shot from Anton Stack. Really, really good stuff. Just generally, just a lovely hit. Really good, clean hit of the ball that ends up in the corner. A couple of seconds later, there's a big save from Lucas Perry, and it's a ball crossed in. It's a great header from Virgil van Dijk, and he reverses it back. Perry's going one way, and then he has to get back across, and it's a massive, big one-hand save from Perry that goes out of play. He made some good saves in the first half as well. He's starting to show what he was brought into. We got to see a big long throw as well at one point, which is always nice to see. But Leeds only held the lead for 2.5 minutes, and then Liverpool scored again. And this was the issue. With the 3 at the back, that goal probably doesn't happen. But with the 2, both Leeds centre halves get dragged across to the right, and that just leaves a bit of a space. And then it's a very clever step over, which gets the ball run through to Szoboszlai, who puts the ball in the corner. And that's where the gaps appear. But then you can't have it all your own way. You can't go more attacking and try and get a goal, and also try and keep the back door closed as well. Against a side like Liverpool, the quality they have, if you leave space, they're going to find gaps to score goals, and they did. But Leeds, still at that point, the fight hadn't gone. Against Chelsea the other night, when we scored the third, or the second, was it the second or third? Whichever one we scored, second one. The third one, sorry. They dropped off completely. They just died. Leeds didn't. And you could say, 10 minutes to go, that could kill you. you could just absolutely go out of the game completely, and we didn't. We absolutely didn't. Kept fighting back. Then it was a chance, again, another chance for Leeds. It's a ball goes through. Kanate just gets a big, huge tackle before DCL, ends up being a free kick anyway. And then Leeds get a series of corners. And the second one is taken by Anton Stack, and it goes over everyone's kind of flicked on, bounces to the back post, and as it bounces out, Tanaka just hits it into the ground, and it goes into the far corner, and it's a wonderful finish, cool, calm finish by Tanaka, and Leeds managed to get 3-3 out of that. And it's massive, 6 goals in 2 games, 8 goals in 3 against Man City, Liverpool, and Chelsea. Now, if that's not taken forward into the next couple of games, there's a massive question to be asked. The ref was awful, by the way, Mark. You did right. Because that shows something. That again shows the same thing. All those goals came when Leeds changed their approach. When all of a sudden Leeds start pushing on, when you start the front press. I'm trying to figure out, I wrote it down in my note that Leeds have started the press from the front. And I think it was 65 minutes. Actually, where I said Leeds are starting to press finally. So that's a huge point that Leeds have to work on. Leeds are very good. They're very, very good with a front press. We are not good sitting in our own half and trying to play out from the back. It doesn't work. Even the 3-5-2, 4-3-3, 3-4-3, 4-2-3-1, doesn't matter. Us playing out from the back doesn't work. We've got to start being more aggressive with that press, because when we've done it, it's been great. The interesting thing about Liverpool's third goal, though, was Daniel Farke was fuming when they scored that goal. And for whatever reason, he was pointing out, and someone pointed out to me in the chat, I missed it, but someone pointed out to me in the chat and I watched along on Big Up. Farke had told them to go back to a 3 at the back, and they just didn't get it done in time. And they had started to push over, and that's where the gap came from. But we might have been riding our luck, Dale. We very much might have been riding our luck, but we got a point, and we fought back twice in that game, and that says an awful lot for the character there. But yeah, for me, it's just 2 very different kind of performances from Leeds. There's that standoffish, slow style of play first half. I mean, what I wrote down the first half, positives, 0-0. Kept Liverpool to no chances. That's it in the first half, positives. Negative-wise, lack of passing ability, lack of pressing, no movement off the ball, giving it away too easily, not close enough to Liverpool midfielders. All of that. Midfield wasn't in the game for me in the first half. We were getting walked through. They were running from their edge of their 18-yard line straight through the middle of the park for us, and then rolling into the corners for their wingers to get onto it. And that was their play. Every single time it was the exact same. And that needed to change. Tanaka makes a great change in midfield. He's just more progressive and more advanced. If Leeds have to do business in January and they decide to stick with this 3-5-2, then he's got to go and look at getting maybe another similar type of player to Tanaka in there, that when Tanaka's not playing, we still got a like-for-like replacement there, because otherwise you start the first half with 3 central defensive midfielders, and that hasn't worked for us this year. Even Sean Longstaff's been in there in that system, it hasn't worked. You put Tanaka in there and he's more aggressive as an advancing 8 box-to-box player, and all of a sudden Leeds start creating stuff. Leeds start getting more on the ball. Leeds start taking the pressure off their defenders a little bit. Joe Roden be fuming with the goal for him. He's been so good for Leeds for 2.5 years. It's probably the first big mistake I think he's made in the Leeds United shirt. But yeah, that was the first half. Nothing positive. Second half, you look at it and the negatives are big for the first 20 minutes of that second half. It was, again, passing generally has been poor, lack of intensity. Maybe they're tired. Maybe they're leggy, is what I wrote down at that point. But then all of a sudden they weren't leggy anymore. They weren't tired anymore, and they were buzzing around the place. They were getting in Liverpool's faces. They were making it uncomfortable, making it difficult for them. It was good. It was good. And the biggest thing, the problem area is, the biggest one was when Leeds did get the ball, there was no options. Nobody wanted it. There was no one running the channels. There was no one coming short. You'd have one Leeds player looking for the ball and 4 or 5 Liverpool players swarming around them. And again, Tanaka comes on and that changes. All of a sudden, you got a second player now looking for it and taking it on the half turn and going forward. When Ilya Groove gets it, he drops the shoulder and goes backwards with the ball. When Tanaka gets it, he opens his body up and goes forward with the ball. And it's just a different mindset. And it plays again to Leeds' strengths. Lucas Perry in goal makes some very big saves tonight. Did really, really well. I know he concedes 3 goals, but 1v1s, it's never really in the keeper's favour. But I thought he made some really big saves tonight for him. Be good for his confidence. And then again, Daniel Farke showed flexible in his formations. Starts off with a 3-5-2, gets a 0-0 at half time, and then for 4 minutes we switch off completely, start the second half. But 2 goals down, he changes to a 4-2-3-1, then changes that again immediately to a 3-4-3. Great, love that. Keep showing flexibility in the systems. No problem with me. I really enjoyed that. I thought the second half was a really strong battling performance. As you go through the players as well, probably not a brilliant day for everybody on the pitch. I mean, we're not going to completely ignore things, but The scores are there. You see momentum graph as well from Leeds. That start of the second half. You see it right there. That first 10 minutes. That's been a consistent for Leeds all season. Bar Chelsea, well, even with Chelsea was there probably as well because they scored. That needs to be fixed. That's a problem area for me with Leeds. That has to be looked at. Sort that part out. Start second halves quicker. We might be okay, you know. But that end of that game was brilliant. Player score wise, I thought Lucas Perry made a couple of good saves. Concedes 3 goals, yeah, obviously, but I thought he made some very big saves. Joe Roll on the mistake, it'll kill him. He'd be disgusted with that. Jacobi, I thought was having a really good game, but then when you changed to 2, probably not a strong suit. So, yeah, no issues with that change. Pascal Stroke, decent game for him. Didn't go wandering today. I like when he stays in his position. Thought he had a decent game. Gabby Goodmunson, excellent again. Really good game for him. Jaden Bowe got forward. I'm looking at the score at one point as well. Just given offside. Anton Stack, really good game for him in the middle of the park. Poor first half. I thought he was walking in the first half. I didn't see him break into a jog even. But then again, when the changes happen, all of a sudden Stack is moving beyond. So maybe it's just an instruction that he wanted him to sit a bit. But when he starts going forward, he was really, really good. Ilya Gruev, defensive-minded player, doing defensive-minded things. Not what we needed, but got through it. And then you've got Noah Okafor. Tried to get involved in the game, was decent enough in the first half when he did get the ball, but nothing clear-cut from him. Had a good chance in the first 5 minutes. These ironically started the game really strong and then went out of it. Dominic Calvert-Lewin didn't hold the ball up as well as he probably should do. Things are bouncing off him today. Changes made a huge difference. Didn't talk about the subs and the impact from the subs. Out Tanaka, fantastic coming off the bench. Probably his best player for the half an hour, 25 minutes he was on. Brendan Aronson, busy, added a bit of energy there. Again, we know what we get, we know what we don't get with Brendan, but the energy was there from him and we needed a bit of energy. We needed a bit of life. Willie Lonto was excellent when he came on. Busy when he got the ball, looking to go forward, looking to attack players. Joe Piru was tidying the ball again. I think he must be looking at the 2 up front going, when am I going to get a crack at this, lads? And then Sebastian Borneo comes on for his little cameo at the end. But sorry, Neil, I am speaking fast today. I'm still a bit wound up from the game. I'll slow it down in the replay. Put it at 0.9. You should be okay. But yeah, for me, just sort out the slowness. Get rid of that. And this is a really strong side. I think there's a lot of positives to how we play when we're on the front foot. I just don't think there's an awful lot of positives to play when we sit off teams. I just don't like how we play like that. But I think when we are pushing forward and we are having a go at teams and we are aggressive, really good. Have I slowed down enough? Is that okay? How are we doing now? Yeah, sorry I'm a bit fast. I get a bit wound up after the games. Heart rate's through the roof. But yeah. Positive is the point. It's a big point. It's a big, big point at home. And it keeps Ellen Road the way it is. And Rich is saying there, love this club sometimes. They make it hard work for you sometimes, but my God, was it worth it? We'll put up there. Massive thank you to everyone for watching, for listening, for downloading, for everything that you've done the last week or two. It's been a really interesting week for Leeds United. I don't think anyone saw us come into these 3 games after we lost to Burnley and thought we'd see points coming out of these games. I think everyone assumed we'd lose these games. Yeah, that silly article from The Guardian then that puts a gun to the manager's head that says he has to win these 2 games. He's got 4 points from these 2 games. And that's a hell of an achievement considering. And the second half performance against Man City was brilliant. So you put all them together. The last 3 games have shown definite signs of life in this Leeds United side. They have shown Leeds how they should play in the Premier League and maybe play without a little bit of fear from people as well. So if we can do that, we should be okay. But don't sit on your hands in January. Get what we need in. Get this done. And we move forward. But a hell of a game to finish the weekend off. I will be back tomorrow morning, Sunday morning, likely with Alex with the Sunday sessions for members. If you're not a member, don't worry about it. It'll be available on all the audio platforms afterwards as well. And then back Monday morning for the news, podcast Tuesday night. And we've got a bit of a break. I don't think we play Brentford till the Monday night. I could be wrong on that, but yeah, a little bit of a break, and we'll see how this goes. The fallout from this, chance to catch our breath during the week and take a bit of a look back at what's been going on over the last 3 games and see where we are as a football club. But yeah, massive thanks to everybody who has liked, commented, subscribed, everything over the last couple of weeks. I really appreciate it. As I always say, agree or disagree. Football is about opinions. We do it in the right way. Everyone wins. Enjoy the rest of your evening and your weekend. I will talk to you tomorrow morning, Sunday sessions, and over on the news on Monday morning. See you later.